Good morning, everyone. We are ready to begin. Good morning. Good morning. Are we on? Hello, everyone, and good morning. We are ready to begin. Welcome to the Fall Graduate Faculty Luncheon. I am Dr. Erica Decuir. I'm professor of teacher education in the School of Education, and I will serve as your moderator for this morning and afternoon sessions. We are going to begin with welcome remarks from Dr. Charles Ochi, the Executive Director of the Graduate School.
Good morning, everybody. How you all doing this morning? Thank you so much for coming to this year's Graduate Faculty Luncheon. This is one of the events I always look forward to because this is an occasion to recognize our faculty and thank them for what they are doing to our graduate students. So I thank you for coming. I'd like to thank the interim provost for your presence, the deans, their chairs, the coordinators, colleagues. I want to thank you for coming. Again, we always look forward to this occasion. This year, because of perhaps budget issues, we decided to utilize our faculty to do the presentations instead of inviting a speaker, saving money for budget issues and all that. So instead of inviting a speaker, we decided to ask our colleagues to present issues. As you can see, you see the theme this year. The theme is the role of faculty in helping to build graduate programs, because it's the faculty that really help to build these programs. So we wanted to hear from our colleagues, our faculty, to see what they are doing to promote our graduate programs, because it actually starts from the department. You know, you have the graduate school, you have graduate, you have the programs in the department, you have the coordinators and the chairs. So that's where it actually starts. So we want to hear from them this year to see what they are doing and how they can help us to continue to improve and our graduate programs on campus. So thank you all for coming. I look forward to hearing from you all, and it's going to be exciting. So thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Ochi, any recognitions?
Well, again, I recognize the interim provost here for coming. Thank you. The deans, they're all here. Thank you for coming. The president is out of town, so she couldn't make it. She was invited, but she's out of town, so she's not here. And again, I'm recognizing everybody, all my colleagues, the speakers were. The speakers will be recognized by the chairs and coordinators, okay? So again, thank you for volunteering to speak. All the speakers from different programs, I appreciate your participation and willing to speak. Again, all the coordinators, the chairs, my colleagues from different programs, all the staff and faculty, thank you for coming. This day for you, graduate faculty. We want to appreciate you and thank you for what you do for graduate programs, because again, if not because of you, it's not going to happen. So thank you for coming. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Ochi, for those welcome remarks and recognitions.
Good morning. Good morning again. Thank you all for coming to this event. It's a very needed event because we always need to support and acknowledge our graduate faculty. Graduate faculty is a very important and upper level kind of representation on the campus of any university. And so being graduate faculty implies that you have gone above and beyond and met graduate faculty qualifications. So congratulations on that, and we thank you for that. Universities are often measured by their graduate programs. And so I would like to thank Dr. Ochi for doing an outstanding job leading our graduate school. When Dr. Ochi took the position years ago, we had in about 300 graduate students. And so now we're pleased to announce that we are over 500. So under his, yay. So under his leadership, we have truly increased, as well as program increase. And I'm sure he'll mention this in his information as well. But the last 2 degrees that we've gotten have been in the graduate school. Last summer, we started our Master of Science in Athletic Training. And then Dr. Hatch and I took a road trip to the USG, and we were approved for our Master of Science in Integrated Biotechnology. So we have increased our program offerings, and that's all because of our faculty. So thank you for that as well. Again, I just want to make sure that you know that we do appreciate you and we want to support you. Grantsmanship is also wonderful. So graduate faculty are usually very active in grantsmanship, so we want you to continue to do that under the leadership of Dr. Rinsford. So if it's anything you need, other than just direct money, feel free to reach out. You know, I always support the graduate school and the graduate programs. I served in the School of Education, and we'll look forward to supporting you all any way I can. So thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Porter. And now we are going to have graduate school updates from Dr. Ochi.
Thank you so much. Just a few updates. First of all, let me start by thanking the graduate coordinators and directors and chairs who've been working with me with graduate school to improve things. Again, it actually starts from the graduate coordinators and directors, and I want to start by thanking them. I also want to thank my staff, graduate school staff. Are they here? Dr. Denita Williams, Ms. Peterson, Ms. Powell, and Ms. Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell is out this week, so I want to thank them for all they do to help us to promote graduate school. The coordinators, how is the registration going for the spring semester? I hope it's going well. For the fall semester, we did okay. We've been told that the enrollment has increased or did increase by about 4% this semester, by 18 students. So we are going up. We didn't go down. Although we are disappointed because we were expecting more students this fall because we recruited over 200 students. And we were expecting that we'll get like 550, 560, whatever, and we get there, except that, you know, there's something they call purge. At some point after the registration, some students were dropped for lack of payment. So that brought our enrollment down to 4% increase, but it's still increase, right? So it's still good. So we continue to improve, working with programs and directors and trying to recruit some more students. So not too bad this semester. Hopefully next semester will be better. Okay, we are implementing a new system called ZAP. This system is supposed to make our graduate processing faster and more efficient. We've been working on this system for the past year and a half. It finally went live. It's functional now, but we still have some issues, some here and there. So it's kind of okay, but it's slowing down our applications coming in. So we are a little bit concerned because it might affect our spring enrollment. And, but we hope that it will not, but we'll see. It's a new system. It's called ZAP system. And it's supposed to be, you know, smooth and, you know, make things, you know, electronically and all that. Instead of printing and copying stuff, everything is done automatically. So it's supposed to make us better, but still, we're still having some technical issues which they are working out. So we hope that it will change. All right. Dr. Porter has talked about new programs we have. You know that last summer we launched the athletic program, working with Dr. Brinson and Dr. Bird and Mr. Land. That program was launched last summer. It's going pretty good. And we just heard from Dr. Porter that the system has approved the data integrated technology program, which hopefully would start in the fall of 24. I think that is now with the SACS, right, Dr. Potter, Dr. Hatch? Say again? It's going to be submitted soon. Okay, thank you. So hopefully that will be approved, and we'll start that hopefully in the fall semester of 24. So that's coming. The Department of Criminal Justice and Graduate School will be negotiating with ABAC for MOU agreement, which will allow their students to come to Albany State. That agreement has been finished, and Dr. Porter has signed it, and it's gone to the president for signature. So once it's approved, we're going to have a collaborative agreement between ASU and ABAC, which allows their students to come to Albany State for graduate program in criminal justice. That's a very good program. All right. Also, graduate school is working with MACOM, with Mr. Montgomery and Ms. Lawrence, to do a grant planning for graduate advertisement. And that plan will involve digital advertisement, will involve some television ads, also will involve some billboards. We're planning to build 2 billboards, one on 75, one in Tifton. So that's a grand plan, which, when implemented, will hopefully help us to recruit some more students. So that's coming. We're also working on improving our academic standing policies. We've just formed a committee to revise some policies such as scholastic warning and scholastic termination. We need to do some tweeting with that. Mr. Malinowski has been pricking me that we need to do some work on that. So we just formed a committee to work on that. Also, we don't have a policy on a repeat policy. As a graduate school, we don't have a universal policy on repeat policy. And I've discussed with some coordinators, and we're trying to come up with a committee to come up with a policy that allows our students to repeat some courses and then replace it with the one they fail. So those are things we're working on. All right? And finally, I'm going to make some recommendation to the provost, interim provost, that we need to do something on midterm enrollment. We do not have, our midterm enrollment is not good. I think that every school I know, they do advertisement for midterm, and students are allowed to come and register for midterm, but it's not that robust for Albany State. I think that we can pick a few students if students know that they can come and enroll in midterm. So that's one thing that we need to perhaps work on. And I remember Albany Tech and some other schools, they do advertisement for midterm enrollment, and I think that we need to look into that so that that will allow us to bring in some students. So those are things we are working. And again, one more thing. I'd like to remind faculty that we do have a policy called a senior policy. This senior policy allows students with 90 hours and who have 3 points to enroll and start their graduate program. Okay, they're allowed to take up to 6 hours of graduate course every semester. This is a good opportunity for our students to start graduate school early. So I want to encourage faculty to please, let's try and publicize this opportunity to our students so they can utilize it to start graduate school early. It's a very good program, and there are some students for a few departments who are already on it. We would like every department to have some students in that program. It's a pretty good program. All they have to do is, if you have 90 hours or more and you have 3 points, you get the form, get it completed, get your chair to sign, get your dean to sign, and I sign it, and then you enroll in the graduate program. All right? So I'd like to encourage all the faculty to please let your students know about it. Okay? We need to really do some more so that we can get some more students in this program. All right? That's all I have, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ochi. We will now have short presentations from our graduate coordinators and directors. We're going to begin with Dr. Lewis, Annie Lewis, in Counselor Education. We're going to take just about 5 minutes just to set up, come on, Dr. Lewis, to set up all of the presentations for our graduate speakers. Following Dr. Lewis, it will be Dr. Ibe in Criminal Justice, Dr. Price in Public Administration, Professor Rainey Berry in Nursing, myself representing middle grades and secondary education, Professor Swain representing social work, and Dr. Stafford representing elementary education. We're going to begin with Dr. Lewis. Just give us a few moments to pull up her presentation on the screen.
Thank you, Dr. Decuir, and good morning to everyone. As she said, I am Dr. Annie Lewis, and I coordinate the Counselor Education Program. I would like to just take a minute to recognize those who came before me, because I'm going to talk about what we did. So prior to me coming into the position, Dr. Carolyn Rollins, Dr. Quatia Walker, and Dr. Arlene Edwards-Joseph were working that program. And they had completed a needs assessment. And in their needs assessment, because the program was low enrollment, in that needs assessment, they found that potential students were saying that what they needed was opportunity for education from an online perspective or weekends. We already had some weekend work anyway. However, that didn't seem to increase enrollment as much. Now, many of our students were coming from within a 1 hour to 2 hour radius of Albany. At some point, you're going to get all of those people or most of those people educated. So you're going to run out of people to serve. So we were still at a point where we were trying to see what else can we do. And once that needs assessment was done and we talked about going totally online, and the question was, can the program meet the requests that these people have? Well, a redesign of the program was done, and it was approved all the way up through the Board of Regents. Then when I was brought in to work part-time for 20 hours a week during that time of the program redesign, I did a recruitment plan. In preparation for the recruitment plan, the research indicated that you have to make contact with these people, your potential students, 2 to 3 times before many of them will get their applications in or get all of their admission process completed. So I started keeping a list of individuals who called and said that they were interested. And I would make calls back to them to follow up. Well, all of that resulted in more students coming and what we wanted, more students graduating. Now, in 2019, with the redesign of the program, and let me go back and say that the redesign of the program was so that we would be aligned with CACREP standards, which is our accrediting body. In 2019, we had 32 students in the program. I just put this little chart up here for you to see how we increased. And we went up to about 67 in the fall of 2020. That's when we started the online program. In the fall of 2021, it increased to 101. Fall 22, we're kind of going back down. We're losing a few of them. So in fall 22, we're at about 78, I believe that is. But spring of 2023, we were all the way up to 125. So that number was a good number, but it was too high for the faculty, the amount of faculty that we had. KCREP requires a 12:1 ratio. So for every 12 full-time students, you need one full-time core faculty member. So as we have lost some through attrition, we let that go ahead and happen, and then we limited the number that we took in the fall of 2023. So now we're at 77 students in the program. However, there were 12 more who interviewed who are on a waiting list. We hope that we can get all 12 of those when we start back in the fall, but they may or may not still be there, if they're looking for, a place really quick. They may or may not still be there. So anyway, we finally got off the low graduation list, because y'all know that thing was bothering me. Every time we came in here for a meeting, they said you're on the low graduation list. So you can see there in 2021, we had about 4. I think maybe it was probably about 6 or 7 that graduated, but it was 4 who showed up for the actual graduation that year. And in the spring of 2023, we had 26. 24 of them actually, graduated in the, thank you. 24 of them in the spring, and 2 others were summer. We have an advisory committee, and we take that advisory committee serious. They meet twice annually. We try to, they do their own bylaws and everything, and we try to make sure that they are updated on what's going on in the counseling program. We take information back from them and try to incorporate it into what we're doing. Collaboration is very important. Collaboration with faculty and staff, those who are in the School of Education, distance learning, financial aid, graduate school, library, bookstore, everybody. We have to collaborate in order to make this thing work. Everybody has to work together. In addition, we collaborate with the pre-K through 12 school systems all around the state. And we've actually have some now that are outside of the state of Georgia that we are collaborating with. We get emails from schools in other places saying that, please put this information out. We have an opening for school counselors or for whatever. Additionally, we communicate and collaborate with community agencies, counseling agencies, Georgia VR, and the related agencies, as well as the accrediting bodies. We try to make sure that our students understand that they need to join professional organizations and be a part of professional conferences. We try to be available and open for our students. Faculty members must have time for students. So some of our faculty have Google phone numbers, and students will call them on their Google phone number so that they don't have to give out their personal phone number. They all have mine. It's on my email in the signature, so they all have my personal email. Phone number, my personal phone number. But we all have to make sure that we are contacting them through emails and through faculty, keeping up with everything in faculty meetings. In faculty meetings, we make sure that we discuss how our students are doing so that we are aware if somebody needs help. We would like to do more of that as we talk about our improvements needed. We would like to do more of that, but we're kind of stretched about as far as we can go. We would like to do more of that so that it would help our retention of students. We're trying to do recognitions. We just learned about the digital badges, so we are going to do digital badges when they reach certain milestones in the program. They'll have the digital badge that they can put in their email, and that will refer whoever clicks on it back to the university and to the program. It's good to have good communication with your students, with faculty and staff, as well as the accrediting body. We need to have accreditation so that our students can progress and get good jobs in the field. We would like to have, of course, more core faculty and staff. We've talked about how much it would help if we had an advisor. Dr. Decuir has talked about that also. If we had an advisor or if we had a clinical and field person who could take some of those responsibilities off of the current faculty, it would help us to be able to do more. So those are just a few of the improvements that we're looking for in the future. And I did not keep up with my time, so I'm going to end it here so that I do not go over. But thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. We now welcome Dr. Ibe, representing criminal justice.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. We are looking at the roles of faculty in building strong graduate program. Okay, look at what is an educational, that is a graduate program. It is an organized set of instruction activities that is designed to enable students to develop their knowledge, understanding, skills, and attitude. You develop your knowledge in your area of discipline. You develop your theoretical understanding of your particular area. When we talk about skills, then you develop the skills that will take you to the workforce, and the attitude, which is very important. Some, you won't understand when we see some graduate students that, I don't know if I say their attitude is not all that welcoming. But in graduate school, we try to do that. We try to make students be knowledgeable in their area, understand their theoretical frameworks of what they are doing, and learn skills and attitude. In the Criminal Justice Department, we adopted a plan. Well, we still have to improve graduate faculty recruitment, have to improve qualitative and quantitative students' enrollment, developing academic curriculum that are accommodating and insisting on student writing skills. We emphasize on this writing skill in criminal justice because it's very, very important. Even if you work with law enforcement, you want to go to law school, everything is centered on writing. A police officer can lose his case because of the way he wrote his report. We can lose that case. That's why we are emphasizing on that. And we want to partner with our local law enforcement because we have a lot of them that have good GPAs, and they don't even know that they can come and do their graduate studies. So we want to partner with them to let them know they can come and do that because all these things are online. And we work in a way to help them finish their program. Improving graduate faculty recruitment. Good instructors make good students. And that's the emphasis on criminal justice. That's my idea of faculty. Because I always believe that good instructors make good students. Instructors that can have patience with students. Instructors that are mastery of their subject areas. Instructors that can know that, hey, students need this or students need this and all that. And then hiring more full-time graduate faculty because more than 60% of our faculty are part-time. And it's not that it's not helping, but it's not helping too much. We need some money to put into that. And then strong research background. Graduate faculty members are active scholars who do significant research and publish in national or international referred journals. Graduate faculty must keep current in their field and must be involved in scholarly activities in their discipline, participate in regional, national, and international conferences, and work with colleagues from other universities. Why do we emphasize that? You have to be knowledgeable in your area before you start teaching students. Graduate program is not undergraduate program. And we need people with a lot of research background because graduate program deals a lot with research. Ability to remotely provide individualized attention to graduate students. Because everything is online now, we want you to know how to deal with students online. You have to have that ability to deal with them online. We have to have that ability to know that they can send you email any time of the day. They need a response immediately. So those things are some of the things we need. Improving qualitative and quantitative student enrollment. Having students with high GPA to stimulate, or stimulate emulation among students during the learning process. We also need students with, even though the GPA for recruitment admission into a graduate school is 2.50, which is, you are still under provisional. We give you the chances to improve. But we actually need students with a high GPA. So that these are students that can know what they are doing, and they don't have to waste a lot of time to explain and explain. Expanding online recruitment tool, because many prospective candidates for graduate program start their school search by visiting the university website. And we've been trying to do if there's, because this attracts students, if there's any way whether it is in the catalog, anywhere where we can publish the graduate professor's resume, put in their research works, so that somebody can tell you, oh, these are very good professors. They have a lot of publications. Because publication is the only way that you are a scholar. So we trying to know if there's any way we can put that so that it can attract students to us, to know that we have a well-trained and educated faculty. Faculty attending at least 2 college graduate fairs every year to meet and discuss with potential candidates interested in pursuing their master's degree in criminal justice, even though we used to do that before, but we don't have fun to do that. I remember one time I traveled to South Carolina with Otochie. We went to all the HBCUs around there. We talked with the students, talked to them face to face. I explained to them what our program is all about, and then they can buy it from there. In most of those areas, like in South Carolina, we don't have HBCUs that offer a master's in criminal justice. They can always take advantage of our program. Most graduate criminal justice courses are fully online and accommodable for professional students. Why do we do that? Because we talk about this, that professionals, because when we look at our enrollment, we found that we still have a lot of professionals. That we have to at least make sure that these guys go to work, and then we have to make sure we accommodate them. We have to make sure, but not accommodating them does not mean that we have to lower our standard. No, but we have to accommodate them. Students will participate in at least 2 academic writing seminars during their program. Because of this deficiency in writing, so what we decided to do is that once a student comes in, we are taking foundations of criminal justice. What we do is that we ask you, give us a topic. You give us a topic, say, you're going to start writing on this topic until you graduate. Well, our journal used to be functional, but we don't have money now because we wanted them to publish in that our criminal justice journal. So by the time they graduate, they have 1 publication, which is something of a pride. These are the things that we are trying to do to help our graduates. And recently, because of the online program, we don't have people writing theses. Everybody is taking thesis option. We are trying to know if we can bring, because sitting down in my office, I look at all the theses that we are written when it was face-to-face. And since it's turned to be completely online, nobody has written any thesis. So we are trying to encourage them to do that. And you cannot encourage them to do that if yourself is not publishing. So you have to be very familiar with what it means to publish before you can talk to students about publishing. So that's what we are trying to do, and that's what we are doing. Our graduate faculty will collaborate with the local police enforcement, and then, like I said before, we try to recruit them. And So we look at principles of a very strong graduate program, which is, we look at this, we talk about the mastery of the subject matter. The program facilitates mastery over the subject content and skills of the discipline at the level expected of the degree. That is, we have to be very, very knowledgeable in what we are teaching. We have to be very knowledgeable in what we are teaching to help the students. We talk about clear definition of purpose. The master's program is not the undergraduate program. You have limited number of hours that you can take. Sometimes when I do audit, I see people have been there for a long. They have 300 and something hours. I say, what is this person doing with 300 and something hours? He's just taking classes for nothing. But in the graduate program, we make sure you don't just take classes for the purpose of acquiring credits. We make sure that you are directed towards a purpose so that you can come in and go out. It's only 18 months. we talk about effective mentoring. Now, in graduate program, this is where mentoring comes in. We thought it ended in undergraduate, but still, we try as much as possible to help our students to look for jobs. We encourage them to go to regional meetings or regional organizations, so people who are hiring. We have to, sometimes, you'll be surprised, some of them are graduating from the graduate program, they don't know what to do. What we do, I print out careers in criminal justice. I said, tell me this is what this person does, this is what this organization does. Can you tell us which one interests you most? You know, so we try to mentor them on how to find a job. We try to tell them we have career fair coming up, you have to be there. We have this coming up, you have to be there. And then effective advancement of students. It doesn't end in undergraduate. Advising is very, 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 very important. And we emphasize on that so much because if you misadvise somebody, he might not get his loan. The financial aid will say no. If somebody say your area of concentration is law enforcement, and you are taking classes in law enforcement and taking classes in forensic science, financial aid will say, oh no, we're not paying for that. So you have to tell them the correct thing to do. You have to tell them the correct thing to do. Advisement is very, very, very important so that they can come in and go out at the expected time. And then we develop procedure for conducting and preparing a comprehensive exam. We have made it a point of duty that at the beginning of every semester, we have to contact everybody that is taking the comprehensive exam. We have compiled this thing, we send them what should be mock exam and everything so that they can know what they are expecting. You know, we have made it in such a way that it is very easy for them to understand what they are going, to know, oh, I'm taking the comp now. So all these things are the things that you can look at. You see that the faculty has a very big role to do what? In building a very strong graduate program. Because the faculty has to be qualified to do what? To teach those students. The faculty has to be ready to face up assignments, be ready to help the students. And then we all pray that we have what we call willing students. We don't have students that will just come, oh, I'm in graduate school, and then you are not doing your work. No. We pray that we try to, that if you are here, you have to be busy. You have to be serious. So we try to encourage all that in our program. And that's what we do in criminal justice. I think that's the end of it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibe. It is very close to 12:30, so we are going to stop here and allow you guys to partake in lunch. And then after lunch, we are going to resume with our last speakers who are representing our remaining departments. Lunch will be for 30 minutes. So from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, we will have a quick break for lunch and to fellowship with our colleagues at the tables, and then we will resume at 1 o'clock with the remaining speakers representing our graduate faculty program, our graduate programs. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone. We are now going to begin with our next speaker, Professor Bettie, representing nursing. Good afternoon, everyone. We are ready to begin, so please take your seats. Our next speaker is ready to begin. This is Professor Rainey Berry representing our nursing department. Following Professor Berry, we will have Professor Price, who will be representing public administration. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry. Good afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry. As she just mentioned, my name is Rainey Berry. I am from the nursing department. I do speak a little low sometimes. A little something about that. Was I used to travel as a nurse. I traveled for 24 years, and I got pregnant, not from traveling, and just from drinking the water, But anyhow, I was pregnant on one of my travel assignments, and my I developed a goiter during the pregnancy. The hormones as they went on, I developed a goiter, and the goiter. Actually, about the 8th month, it just stayed there, and it was bothersome, but it wasn't much of anything. I had my son, and I promise you, as soon as I had him, the goiter just like doubled in size. So my voice was like cracking all the time, and. So anyway, I went and saw a surgeon, and I wound out having to have a partial thyroidectomy. Well, during surgery, I was my vocal was nicked, and after I did my recovery and all, I went back to my travel assignment. But when I went back, I was speaking very low, and I was like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And all the providers, all of them knew me, and I worked in open heart recovery, and I had a patient that was on a balloon pump. And he stopped. I know nurses know what I'm talking about. The others may not, but I do apologize. So the balloon pump actually helps your heart beat. And so it stopped triggering or stopped capturing his heartbeat. And so I called the provider, and when I called him, I was like, "Hi, Dr. Marsh." This was late at night, guys. So he hung up. And I'm like, now the nurses that are in front of me can hear me. So I don't understand why he's acting like he can't hear me. So I call back and I'm like, "Dr. Marsh." He hangs up again. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Something's going wrong. So I did it again. This time, it was from the hospital's phone. So that's why he kept picking it up. And he hung up the third time. So I'm like, let me go talk to one of my charge nurses, let her know he keeps hanging up on me. So I walk over there and I say, "Sarah, hey, Dr. Marsh keeps hanging up on me." Of course, my voice is really low. And I'm like, "Dr. Marsh keeps hanging." And she's laughing. She's on the phone just laughing. And finally she says, sorry. Finally, she says, and she grabs my arm and she says, "Dr. Marsh, that's Rainey." And he says, according to her, he says, "Tell her to stop calling the house. She sounds like a 900 sex operator." So I was not a 900 sex operator. However, and that was just a little story to tell you about my voice. So sometimes it will start cracking and all. But I was tasked with talking about the roles of faculty in building a strong graduate educational program. And that role over there looks good, doesn't it? It looks heavenly. May not be very, good for us, but it sure looks good. But I'm actually going to say a little something about that in just a moment. But to define our roles, we need to know, to answer the question, we need to know what roles are. And a role means it's more like a position or a function or our responsibility. And then to break it down even more, it's more like our behavior, our duties, our contributions. What do we actually do in that role? Okay, I'm a teacher. In that role, I actually teach, but what do I do? Just because I teach does not explain what I'm doing. I hope that made some sense. Okay, I actually talk to the students. I actually lead the students. I actually encourage the students. I mentor the students. I advise. That's what I mean by teach, or my behavior, or my function. That's what I actually mean by that. How should my behavior be? I should be approachable, right? No? Maybe so? Okay. I should be approachable. And what do I mean by approachable? Would you actually approach me if I was sitting like this? Would you? Would you actually approach? Well, that means you're an excellent instructor or an excellent teacher. Even if you would approach me, and you're going to have some students who are like this. You're going to have some students who are in your class as a graduate faculty. A lot of times we don't see these students face to face, right? A lot of times we don't see them face to face. So you're going to have students, sorry, you know I'm a nurse when I say patients, right? But you're going to have students like this that you're not able to see them, but they're going to be just like this. So how can we approach them even when they're not approachable? It's kind of hard to see it, right? It really is. We just had a meeting with the student that was similar to this. And it's like, how do you approach these? We've got to make ourselves approachable so that we can approach them. I know that didn't make any sense at all, but if you really think about it, you have to. I don't know if I'm making some sense. I pray I am. I hope it's understandable. And then we have duties, as I mentioned, the mentoring, advising, research. And that doesn't actually just mean for students. Guess what? Our peers rely on us as well. That's how we're going to make our program even stronger. Was that clear? I hope I made myself clear. And then our contributions. We have to be knowledgeable. And I remember was it Ibe? Ibe? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it incorrectly. And Lewis mentioned how we have to be knowledgeable ourselves before we can impart knowledge. You have to know before you can teach. Does that make any sense? So let me put it this way. If I am to teach you how to sing, you much rather I know how to sing first, right? You understand what I'm saying? So if I am to teach you how to be a scholar, oops, my bad. If I'm to teach you how to be a scholar, I must know how to be a scholar myself. And we're not born being scholars, are we? So that's where our mentors come in at. So I'm not born being a graduate faculty member. But guess what? There are faculty members who are already here. They are my mentors. That's where I mean about being available for your peer as well, not just the students. That makes for believe me, a very strong graduate program. Let's see. Let me go to my next slide here. Oops, my bad. Okay. And here are several roles that we actually play or act or function in as a faculty member. And if we actually present ourselves in a way that we're knowledgeable, we're approachable, we collaborate, we communicate. If we present ourselves in that way, we can actually build our program even stronger. And I also like this part where it says curriculum developers. Now, just because we get our crosswalk together with our syllabus and we make that look good and everything and we do our map, that's totally fine. However, if we're not able to impart knowledge to students, mentors, mentees, advisors, advisees, if we're not able to actually impart knowledge in a way that that person receives it and can think critically about what they're doing, about what they're going to do, there is no way we're going to be successful. I hope that made some sense too. As a curriculum developer or a course developer. We must be reliable. And what do I mean by that? Y'all remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, Red Rover, send Rainy right over, right? And guess where I would try to go in? I would try to go to the one I knew I can break that chain, right? So, as strong strong faculty programs, we've got to make that chain where it's unbreakable. I hope I'm making some sense now, for real, where all of us as graduate faculties can be approachable, can be mentors, can be mentored as well. That's how we continue to grow. I think if we make that chain where when Rainey comes over, there's no way she's getting through. She's going to either learn, well, she has to learn, or she's going to stay on our side. Does that make any sense? Because if you can't break the chain, what happens when you get over there? You have to stay. Exactly. So either way, I'm going to make you come up. I'm going to make you think critical about what you're doing. Okay. And as I mentioned, we have to be approachable, dependable, trustworthy, knowledgeable, and professional in our academic and scholarly achievements. We have a responsibility, as I mentioned, not to become complacent. And I know you know what that means, right? Okay. I know you heard of this, right? If you lead a horse to water, what happens? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You may not can make them drink, but I guarantee you before they leave, if it's a very strong program, okay, and you have mentors, I'm going to call us mentors, not faculty. If you have mentors, advisors, you have these different roles that are strong enough, you may not make them drink, but before they leave, they're going to drink. Now, I don't know how they drunk, but they will drink. Does that make any sense? I'm serious. Let me tell you something. When I was breastfeeding my first child, as a parent, you're excited, you don't know what to do, and all of this, but you want to breastfeed, right? She would never latch on. So I had this older nurse come, and she actually, y'all, I know what one of those little oxygen, she cut that little bitty baby oxygen thing, and she took a syringe, put it on the end of the little oxygen tube, stuck it beside my breast, put my baby up there, and gradually and finally she started. And she finally latched. Does that make any sense? I hope y'all understood that part. So we didn't make her drink, but she whined out drinking, or you know what I'm saying? So if that program is strong enough, and it can only be as strong as the people that are leading the program. If that program, believe me, they're gonna drink. And let me show you something else. You're not gonna believe this one right here. If the program is strong enough, well, let me do my conclusion first. When we fulfill these roles effectively, we as faculty members contribute to the overall strength and success of a graduate educational program, ensuring that it produces well-trained, skilled professionals who can make meaningful contributions to their field. Okay? That's our primary goal, right? If we do that, what do you think this means? Nobody can think outside the box. It is almost impossible. Who in the world can sell ice to an Eskimo? No, seriously, can you sell ice to an Eskimo? Believe me, if it's strong enough, they will buy it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Rainey Berry, representing our nursing department. And now we will have our speaker, Dr. Price, from Public Administration.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I was hoping that I would be able to speak before you had lunch, before you would end up like all of my students and check out before we even begin. But hopefully I decided to do this kind of the same way that I do my classrooms as a brief lecture. I will be as brief as I possibly can. This is my second semester here, and one of the things that is interesting about this being my second semester is I see my dean is here. And when I was first hired here, one of the first things that I did was I asked the department chair, could you send me a syllabus of the courses that I will be teaching? I felt like if I could see a syllabus of each one of the courses I'll be teaching, it'll give me a good indication of how I want to instruct the classes, how they've been instructed before, just the entire process of how the department works. And she said, sure, I'll send you a copy of each one of the syllabus for the classes that you'll be teaching. And when she sent them to me, I remember distinctly looking over each one of them, and I actually, this is a true story, I actually went online and I said, let me look this school up. I said, I really need to just look this school up. I said, I thought that this was a black school. I thought this was an HBCU. And I actually had to look it up to make sure because I wasn't that familiar with it. And I was just like, let me just make sure that this is an HBCU. Because when I looked at each one of the syllabus that was sent to me, I immediately said to myself, where's the black part? I need you to catch that. I said, where's the black part? Where's the black part of these courses? I thought this was an HBCU, and I feel like one of the things that I wanted to express to you today is as faculty members, one of the things that is really critical for us is that we want to produce black leaders that are going to solve black problems. That is the role that we have here. There's a great article that I hope that at some point that you have an opportunity to look at. It is called The Responsibility of the Black Political Scientist to the Black Community by a gentleman named Dr. Mac Jones. And one of the things that he said in that particular article that always stuck with me is he says that the role of a black graduate faculty member is to solve black problems by developing black leaders. And he says that one of the ways that you develop black leaders and black thinkers is by being able to isolate a variable. All of my math people in here, I'm sure that you're familiar with that term. When you're able to isolate a variable, meaning he goes on to say that this does not mean that you will know less about the world. It will mean that you can isolate a variable that is important to you. And black issues are what's supposed to be important to us. And one of the things that I feel like is lacking in our graduate programs here is that we should have universal syllabus. We should have a universal syllabus for each one of our classes. Just like you have your name, your office hours, your course objectives, there should be a section on each one of our syllabus that is dealing with black problems. Each one of our syllabus should have something on it that is dealing with black problems and how we're going to address black problems. So every time that I walk into a classroom, every time that my students see me in a classroom, whether I'm teaching budgeting, whether I'm teaching human resource management, it doesn't matter what class that I'm teaching, you are looking at a black man that is trying to solve black problems. And that is why I'm here. And you are black students, and that's what I'm trying to convey to you. Granted, maybe all of my students are not black, but that is why we are here. And that is what we're trying to get across. Because when you look at some of these issues that are facing us today, such as the issues that are taking place in Florida with Governor DeSantis and trying to eliminate black education, when you look at even some of the issues that are taking place in Atlanta where they put a black face on black issues such as Fannie Willis, who is passing laws and trying to pass legislation that is trying to incarcerate black men at a disproportionate rate, it is up to us to be able to address those type of issues in this type of education. Every time that we teach a class, it should address black issues in some way, some shape or form. One of the other things that I want you to think about when I speak about this is that you keep the main thing the main thing. I don't know how many times you've ever heard that before, but you keep the main thing the main thing. That means that my dean, the provost here, the president, let them deal with all of those other issues. Let them deal with all of those administrative issues. That's their job. but I was hired here as a lecturer. My job is to convey to my students that I'm trying to produce you to be able to become a great leader, a great thinker that is going to address black problems. This does not mean that you will know less about the world. This does not mean that you cannot address worldly issues. This means that you can isolate a variable and do the things that are important to you, because that's why you decided to come to this particular university. All of the university that you could have went to once you graduated from undergraduate, you chose to come to a black college. There has to be a specific reason. One of the first things that I do every time that I have a class is I ask my students, why are you here? What was your purpose of choosing this institution? This is why I say this in such seriousness. When I first looked at the syllabus, I had to Google and had to look at this university. And I said, let me make sure that this is a black college, because I don't see anything on any of these syllabus that are addressing black issues. So really what I hope that you gain from this very short lecture that I'm giving you today is that I want you to kind of walk away from here the same way that I walk away from each one of my classes, is that what have I done to address black issues? What have I done to be able to produce the next black leaders? And I hope that each one of us can do that in terms of our graduate departments. Let our deans that are all great, let our provosts, let our president, all of these people who are magnificent at their job, very knowledgeable, very smart, let them do their job. But our job is to have those students sit before us and to make them leaders, make them graduate leaders once they leave here, and they're going to address black problems and find a way to solve those issues. Thank you for your time.
And I just have some quick remarks in terms of the role of the faculty member from what I see in working with our programs. Number one, our main role is to be walking recruitment for our graduate programs. That means that when we enter rooms and spaces that we all do throughout the state and around the country, we are representing Albany State University. So we are wearing our pin, we are presenting our presentations with Albany State University template as we are presenting, and when anyone wants to hear, we are sharing the great news about our graduate departments here at Albany State. I think that's the number one role for faculty. Number two, when our students are here, we must not forget what we call in the School of Education induction. We do a graduate orientation that Dr. Ochi leads wonderfully with his team every semester. But what we also do in our secondary education program is that we have monthly check-in meetings with our graduate students just to check in and see how you're doing. And it's not required, it's optional. But we do encourage them to come and check in with us once a month via WebEx, and it has worked to create a community among the students where they can lean on each other as peers. We also give them updates about the university. We help them deal with some grievance issues before it becomes an issue for Dr. Nwafu, and we are able to settle some things in those small meetings. So it helps to diffuse some tension within the programs and among students, and then it also brings a community to them among their peers. So I strongly encourage induction services or providing some sort of check-ins with your graduate students as a way of bringing forth that community. Thirdly, advising. We spend a lot of time on advising. It's something that we cannot get away from. It's important for a lot of reasons. But I think as faculty, we need to look at some better ways in order to manage advising. We're looking at a mentoring model across the university, but we're all busy. We have research, we have scholarship, we have meetings, so many meetings. And it's very hard for us to be able to schedule those advising appointments with our students. But when we are advising them, it's not just about registering classes, it's really having a conversation. So what I suggest is 2 or 3 questions that you can think of, or maybe even talk about among your departments, that will start off every advising session, because we forget. And I'm guilty of that myself. I pick up the phone, how many classes you need, do you want A, B, or A term or B term, and then that's it. That's the extent of the conversation. But maybe coming up with some sort of template or some questions that will be a go-to for us so that when we're advising students, we know to stop, take a break, and check in with them. Ask them how they're doing, ask them do they have any challenges, and then we get to the registration, because that is going to make for a better advising experience for our students and also keep us focused. And then I want to encourage our faculty to stay modern, to stay up to date. Some of our references are painfully outdated. Some of our practices are painfully outdated. They just don't do that in the field anymore. Some of the researchers they're not even talking about anymore. So we have to look at some program improvements to revise our core syllabi. I definitely encourage and support what Dr. Price mentioned by looking specifically at some problems, issues, or challenges facing the African American community as a centerpiece for much of our curriculum, in addition to the required content that they must learn. And so I'll give you an example from my class, which focuses on instructional strategies. We do a separate module that looks at, for example, specific instructional strategies for supporting Black boys in K-12 schools. So we still look at instructional strategies broadly, but then specifically there is a module where we focus up close and in depth on that particular issue, bring it to light, bring some attention to it, and then give students some strategies and tools for increasing the learning outcomes and educational experiences of Black boys in schools. So I definitely think there is a way we can look at our curriculum to modernize it, keep it up to date, and then also bring in some application to the real world. Finally, as graduate faculty, our role is to connect theory to practice. That means we need some practice. That means we need some activities where the students are able to draw from what they're learning to the real world context that they are teaching, serving, or working in. So we have to bring some life to our programs in a way that they're not just reading a lot of theories, but they're also demonstrating the application of those theories in the real world. That is our role as a graduate faculty, to bring theory to practice. So I think those are my key ideas on how we can reshape or strengthen our role as graduate faculty. And we are now going to move on to Professor Jamie Swain, who is representing the School of Social Work.
Good afternoon. I'm the field coordinator for the Master of Social Work program, and I have a PowerPoint, but for the sake of time, I'm going to forego that and just stick to my notes page. We are accredited through Council on Social Work Education, and so any changes to our program, curriculum, and that sort of thing have to be approved through CSWE. And so I can honestly say the biggest contributing factor that I can see that has led to, well, we have had significant growth in our graduate program. We started, I think, with around 10 students in 2010, and today we have right at 130 students. And so when we talk about this within our department, we're talking about maintaining, but how do we also maintain and promote growth at the same time? One of the biggest factors, I think, has been that we've been able to transition to an online platform. And we've been able to do that and maintain good standing with our accrediting body. Our program is definitely set up to accommodate non-traditional students. Our courses are asynchronous, and every single one of our classes starts after 5 p.m. to support the working student, the young professional. And so in addition to that, we're also meeting regularly as a faculty body to kind of discuss challenges and barriers and how to work through those. I'm not sure how many of you all are doing interviews for your program, but that's another component that we utilize that we find very beneficial. Before students are admitted to our program, we interview, and a lot of students are interested in, policy and programs, and ours is a clinical program, so it allows us to have those discussions up front to make sure that we're able to support them in their professional venture. Let's see here. Just like with Dr. Decuir, what she was talking about with trying to stay current, it's a challenge for us as a faculty to try to make sure that we're up on current trends, current technology, making sure that we're incorporating that in our virtual classrooms. So we are trying to work with distance learning and, of course, seek out additional opportunities to make sure that we are staying relevant. Another area of growth that we've seen is before we transitioned to online, we had a heavy focus here in Southwest Georgia. I can say today we have students from several different states, and that's been great. We currently have students in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Maryland, New York. So it's really helped us expand our reach, and we're able to touch students from multiple states and expand on Albany State and what we have to offer here. Let's see. As far as recruitment, we really look at recruitment as a twofold. We think about recruitment with students and how we can reach them. And just like previously mentioned, when we're out in workshops, professional settings, communities, we're, of course, trying to use every opportunity that we have to recruit students to Albany State. We also try to maintain close connections and partnerships with our community agencies. And as the field coordinator, I'm able to really interact with every agency that we have that accepts students as internships. And so this has been really great for us as far as expanding Albany State beyond Southwest Georgia, making sure that we're able to recruit students from everywhere. We're actually getting ready to start our, hold our social work advisory board meeting. And so this has really been able to involve and engage people in our program from multiple states and that are in the social work profession to give us some insight as far as how we can grow and evolve and better support students that are entering the field. Every year we have an annual virtual information session, and that goes out to all of our field agencies that we have that host our students. That goes out to every student that we have, and I'm trying to maintain an active listing of all of our alumni to make sure that that goes out and is shared with everyone. Dr. Ochi and Ms. Mitchell have been really supportive in this venture, being there with us as we hold these information sessions and able to answer questions and give students explicit instructions on the application process. So that has been another good opportunity for us. We also like to seize every opportunity that's presented. UNC Chapel Hill reached out recently with an opportunity for a trauma-informed course that we are definitely going to meet with them to try to make sure our curriculum is up to standard and offer opportunities for clinical social work practice with a heavy focus on anti-racism. And last but not least, the venture for social workers is lengthy. In order for social workers to become licensed clinical social workers, that's a 3-year process post-graduation. So we try to really keep in touch with our students to make sure that they have the knowledge, skills, and resources that they need to be able to pass these clinical licensure exams. And then as far as aspirations for future growth, Georgia currently does not have a Doctor of Social Work program, a DSW program, so we are definitely interested as a department to look at how we could expand our reach with a Doctor of Social Work program along with other professional certificates in the area. So, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Swain. Thank you, Professor Swain. We will now move to our last speaker, Dr. Betty Stafford, representing elementary education from the School of Education.
Good afternoon. I feel my role in building a strong graduate education program is to first be intentional. I am, as many of you know, a people person, and I really work hard to build relationships with the students in our graduate program because I think that's important. A lot of students in this day and time, they're working, they're shuffling a lot of things, and I often have conversations with them about things going on in their lives to let them know that it's important to us. We want them to be in our program, but what's going on in their life is important to us. And I think those relationships go a long way. I understand the importance of making connections in my community to spread the good news about Albany State, as well as the surrounding counties to promote the program. Dr. Decuir has mentioned a lot of the same points that I wanted to cover in regards to the theme. I often tell my students, because you work during the day, by the time you get off, if I'm not in my office, you can still call my office number and reach me because I have it tied to my cell phone. And they know that I'm always only a phone call away because I want to make sure that I am there in case they need me regarding assignments so that they will feel comfortable calling me. I want to conclude by sharing some of our program improvements to make our program better. Georgia PSC requires us to update all curriculum maps, the syllabi, and everything that was previously aligned to NTASC. We now need to be aligned to the teacher assessment on performance standards. Graduate program revisions include changes to the syllabi courses in the AB term course rotations. We're looking at our key assessments, middle grades, initial certification, and curriculum and new program changes. As Dr. Decuir stated, we want to remain relevant. So we have formulated a literacy task force to implement required PSC changes for reading endorsement courses. The new changes will reflect the science of reading. There are 3 phases, and we are currently working on phase 1. We will be making necessary changes in the coming months to meet PSC requirements. We are working to ensure degree works aligns with all check sheets. We're also working to ensure the changes we recommended in the catalog and the check sheets are updated. We continue to recruit for the program. We currently have 38 registered at the elementary level and 5 SPED students, and we continue to encourage people to come and be a part of our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stafford. As noted, program improvement is a major component of our faculty role. Now we will move to question and answers. And Dr. Ochi, did you also want to come up and address any questions that may arise from our participants? Oh, okay, one moment. So your question was, do we still have a specialist degree that is offered here? The specialist in educational leadership. Is that what you're referring to? Yes.
Yes. He's asking if we can develop a PhD program that reflects all the programs, all the graduate programs, right? Interdisciplinary PhD program that reflects all the graduate programs on campus, right? Well, the response to that is that Albany State is not yet a doctoral degree institution. Okay, in order for us to have a doctoral program, we have to do a level change request to SACS. I think we are in level 4 now or 5. It requires us to go to the next level. So that's a major change for the institution. So we have done some feasibility studies for some graduate programs. For example, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Doctor of Education, and so on and so forth. We've done at least 4 feasibility studies for some doctoral program, but we can't move further until the institution applies for a level change. That's a major change, and that's what's holding us right now. And that's a decision that the president has to make. It takes time, okay? That's where we are now. Dr. Ngwafu, is that not true? Yeah, okay. So,
years ago, Ola was put forward to just that, to do a PhD program that covered education, business, public administration, and all that.
right.
I think what stopped it was this
Level change.
Plus, the UNG was not going to approve it because they had other
Yeah.
programs within the system.
It's sort of a political something too, right? Political something. The institution has to be ready, and it's a political something, and I don't know, hopefully, next 2-3 years or whatever, but we need to, first of all, apply for a level change before we can even talk about doctoral program. But social work, I'm promising you, I'm going to do a feasibility study for social work. It's going to start next month. It will cost money, but we'll pay for that, okay? So by December, you ask me where we are, I'll give you a report done by a professional organization about whether or not we should have a doctor of physical in social work, okay? Again, I'm going to do a feasibility study. I'm going to have Hanover do that for us, and you get your report, okay? That's a commitment I'm making. Right. Any question? Any more question? Yes. We've done for education. We've done several in education, but they didn't want to go further. We did. We did a couple of programs in the education. We did one in nursing, doctoral programs, but Dr. Medley and also they didn't want to go further. So yeah, our ZAP program, that's a new application process we adopted. Started 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It went live, and it's going, but we're experiencing some niches here and there, and but the companies, the vendors are working it through. So yes. No more question. Okay, I want to thank you all for coming. Please, let's continue to work together to grow the graduate programs, okay? It's already growing, and we're getting there. So thank you all. We appreciate the graduate faculty for what you do. Thanks Dr. Decuir for moderating the program. I appreciate that. Let's give her a hand of applause.